many of you have heard about the Russian hacking, and I've had personal experience with a bad actor from Russia dating back to 2014 that I'm going to share it with you. I was a worker at Cracker Barrel. I had a hostess coworker who was running an alt-right YouTube page where she was implying that Maxine Waters and Michelle Obama, others were trans men, and it's actually very interesting because she was in Oxford, and that's where the trans ban happened for 2016 for the Target bathroom in Alabama. And she told me that it was a whole process. Uh, I won't go into every detail. This is more synopsis, but she kind of spread conspiracies like QAnon, where they were saying that they were kind of with the government and they were something was up, and like all this deep state BS and everything Trump was talking about, fake news, deep state. She was already using that rhetoric, and really hated CNN more than any of them, and I don't understand that. But she was saying that Oxford would do a trans ban, and like the councilman would be in the middle of my street, the previous part of the deep state, and all this BS. And like, it was interesting timing though because it happened, and it was right about the time that Trump picked Pence, and she had told me that, and I was like, she can tell me who his VP is going to be. Like, he was even running at the time, but it could be predicted, but not the VP. So that came true. And there was a lot of stuff in my personal life being told to keep quiet and stuff like that, like she said it would. And I can go into that in another YouTube. But she said I would hashtag veterans for Kaepernick, and that would be a sign that I wasn't complying with them. I didn't see things the way they saw things or whatever, like, because it seemed like, I don't know, I'll go into that later. But she told me things like, I had a relative working in the CIA and he had came back, fled Venezuela. And I had asked the pair of one, it did sound pretty weird about redistributing wealth, like in 100 years, the rich would have their money back, like how, like that's not biblical or scientific. Like that was, and why would you go to a socialist country preaching that? But anyways, they had a lot more. It I found out they were Russian because like she has past experiences. I mentioned how one time, like over a decade ago, my friend had said something, oh God, I'm at his house, man, want to do something they didn't want to do. So I drove over there, but then there was cameras inside and he stood military. I was like, what's that thing you want you to do? And it's like join the military. And then I'm going to Iraq for 2 years, another year for telling me about it. But like it's a whole other story. And there was a lot more, like including one more, and like whatever happened to people at the Cuba embassy, I feel like was done to me in the back room there because like I couldn't really think straight for 6 months. And by that time, he had been sworn in, and he was calling it fake news and like saying the FBI, the people were deep state, and just all the crap she was saying about how they were going to keep it quiet. Like they had the Access Hollywood videotape planned for when when that dropped, the WikiLeaks was going to drop because and that's why I thought it was weird. She thought Hillary Clinton was a Senate pedophile when he was the guy they had bragging about grabbing women by the pee. And then not only that, but she knew about the Stern videotapes where he was bragging about watching underage girls in dress at his casino. I mean, at his child pageants. And like, it was just really weird. And now we have, again, it's not the FBI's fault he associates with Chris. So now we have Paul Manafort, Cohen, Tim Nolan, Epstein, George Nader, Papadopoulos, like just a laundry list of deplorable people that he associated with. And now they're going to be flipped and testifying against them. And he's going to slander like them, the FBI, when it's him that's, the reason they were committing the crimes. And he's the one that brought them into that circle to begin with. And it was all to make him president and just trash the country. Like that's why every former living president didn't support them, not because they're all part of deep state, satanic, whatever BS they're spreading, but because they are patriots and he is not. That's why it seemed like some conspiracies are attacking Republicans too. That's only the patriotic ones, not the ones on Putin's payroll. Like, wake up. They feed you white supremacy. Like that was the half the conspiracies. And I noticed that too. I was like, wait, blacks, gays, all these people, they've had it bad since the beginning of time, and it's still worse for them today. Not that there's a lot worse than we all share, but gender, race, or sexual orientation isn't making it worse, except for like certain groups to certain people. And they had missionaries into other countries. The CIA's admitted to spraying crack to the inner city to sell. Like, this is the people they target. It's not the white people, and it's not, you know, it's always favored for white Christian supremacy. It's never been the other way around. To say it otherwise is crazy. So if there's a deep state, it's old timey racists, it's the old timey just crusaders, and this just because we're now going to a more objective like position, they're trying to make it sound like, that's how racist these people are. Like, they've rejected the FBI stats that terrorists aren't coming through the border, or like that illegals aren't voting. Like, it's never it's like that David Duke Klan top Republican policy. It's There's a race. If you hate a race, the Republican Party's got you. There's Muslims, there's blacks, there's gays, there's everybody for everyone. There's a policy you can say and try not to say racist or say you're political, but these people actually don't understand shit about shit. And that's the only thing they even vote towards is racism. That's all they understand is pathetic and godless, but they've yoked God to this BS. And it all started when the Southern Baptists were created to justify slavery. And after the Civil War, they didn't get back together. Instead, they made it a safe haven for Jim Crow conservative policies, like, even though they all fly in the face of God, like 13,000 immigrant children separated, like some of them lost to child traffickers, and they don't give a shit just because of the color of their skin. And God said, welcome the foreigner like the native born, not to say that their children shouldn't be safe. Like, it's an insane metric. And again, the crime isn't to be raped in prison. Like, there was several cases of sexual assault by prison guards, and the conservatives don't want to prosecute them. Like, well, they're a guard and they're our people, so they can rape if they want to. Like, no, that's not the law. That's godless, and they should be prosecuted. Like, there seems to be no way a colored person shouldn't be killed by police in their eyes. Like, black guy selling loose cigarettes, oh yeah, he should have been choked to death. Now, somebody from a Republican going to jail for their corruption, oh, they'll fight that. They'll call that deep state and say they're all satanic pedophiles and bullshit. Like, they don't care that he lies all the time. They don't want to believe in reality. They want to believe in the racist bullshit. And they keep going further and further in that delusion until some of them start killing people. And we're supposed to act it's not like their fault. It's all of their fault. And they won't stop. They won't repent. They won't have a come to Jesus moment. They'll just get worse. But hopefully we'll find a silver lining in all this. It might be when they rise up to protect Trump and they get arrested because, or worse, because they are the succeeders. They're the ones the NRA's been telling them to stockpile guns for decades. And they've been waiting for the racist they can call a true conservative to come, and came Donald Trump. And just because he's a vile person who says vile things, they feel he's one of them.